In this Republican response to the governor's address, I will offer a far more sobering perspective on the true state of the state. We will take a hard look at what exactly the state of the state is. The state of this state is that it is heavily taxed, and these taxes are job killers. It is one of the country's most heavily taxed states. The Tax Foundation ranks Maryland as the fourth highest taxed state in the nation. For the past 5 years, Maryland taxpayers have borne the brunt of a never-ending effort to eliminate a $1.1 billion budget deficit. Let's get one thing clear. The governor is eliminating the budget deficit not through cuts to overall spending, but through a nonstop effort to raise taxes, fees, and tolls on our citizens. We hear a lot of talk from Governor O'Malley about tough decisions and a balanced approach and investments. But what's so tough about the power of government to take away your hard-earned money? What's so balanced about enacting tax increase after tax increase to balance bigger and bigger budgets? And really, what kind of investment is it when the governor takes your money for projects that provide little help to you, but are meant to please a national audience? Governor O'Malley's policies are neither tough, nor balanced, nor an investment. They are nothing more than the same old tax and spend policies that have slowed our economic growth. The citizens of Maryland deserve better. Let's tally up the record. I'd like to thank the members and staff of the House and Senate Republican caucus for compiling these facts and figures. In 2007's special session, the governor pushed for and got a 20% increase in the sales tax, an expansion of the 6% sales tax to computer services, which was then swapped for the millionaire's tax, an 18% increase in the corporate income tax, a 20% increase in the vehicle excise tax, a 117% increase in the vehicle idling fee, a 100% increase in the cigarette tax, and an income tax increases ranging from 5 to 16%, depending on your income. In that 2007 session, the governor and the Democrat members of the General Assembly made history. Indeed, the governor proposed, and the Democrats in the General Assembly approved, the largest tax increase in the history of Maryland. Now let's move forward to last year's tax and fee increases. The vehicle titling tax doubled. Vanity plate fees doubled. Land recording fees doubled. Birth certificate fees doubled. And while doubling taxes was the general order during last year's session, there were plenty of sharp increases as well. A hospital tax increase, an increased premium tax on the Injured Workers Insurance Fund, an increase in licensing fees for home improvement contractors, a 50% increase in the sales tax on alcohol. And now we begin another General Assembly session, and again, Maryland taxpayers are targeted with more tax and fee proposals from the governor. Governor O'Malley has proposed reducing the itemized mortgage deductions, charity deductions, and other deductions on the state income tax for over 400,000 Marylanders, and taking away half or all of the $2,400 personal exemption for a significant number of Maryland tax filers. To offer some perspective, in speaking about taxes in the American family, President Obama, in the State of the Union message to Congress on January 24th, said that, quote, if you make under $250,000 a year, like 98% of American families, your taxes shouldn't go up. You're the ones who need relief, close quote. Clearly, the governor didn't get the message. You see, Maryland taxpayers who fall into that 98% of American families, the ones President Obama said should not suffer a tax hike, are the very same people who will suffer the pain of Governor O'Malley's increases in the state income tax and other taxes. And as if these proposals were not enough, the governor has also proposed a state sales tax for online purchases, doubling or perhaps even tripling the flush tax, pursuing a commitment to wind power that could have a price tag of at least $2 billion over the next 20 years, a 70% increase in the tax on cigars, snuff, and loose tobacco, a tax increase on coal, a tax increase on telecom companies, a tax increase on coins, and that's a tax on investment, an increase in the car registration fee. And for our friends that like to play Angry Bird or cut the rope, the governor is proposing an app tax on mobile downloads. And as if these reaches into the pockets of Marylanders wasn't enough, to add insult to injury, the governor is talking about a gas tax increase. Sadly, if history is any guide, the Democrat-controlled legislature will approve many of the governor's proposed tax increases. However, there are times when the governor goes beyond the legislature to burden the taxpayer. In these cases, he turns to bureaucrats to raise revenue. The best example was last year's toll increase. The governor turned to his personal appointees on the Maryland Transportation Authority to raise tolls on Maryland drivers. By 2013, the tolls on the Key Bridge will double. The Fort McHenry Tunnel will double. The Harbor Tunnel will double. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge will more than double, as will the US 301 bridge over the Potomac River. The governor has raised taxes and fees and tolls. He ignores the fact that people are still struggling to keep their heads above water in these economic times. Governor O'Malley's taxes, fees, and tolls have had a negative impact on Maryland citizens, but so have his policies. Rural parts of the state have been hit hard by what I call Governor O'Malley's war on rural Maryland. As part of that war, the governor's plan Maryland shifts power to the state on land use decisions. No longer is it locally elected officials, but the state that has the final word on land use. Plan Maryland erodes property rights. However, the governor still goes further. The governor plans to limit the use of septic systems. This will severely limit rural job growth and economic development. The governor says his spending cuts have been among the toughest decisions he had to make while in office. However, since he's been governor, the state budget has grown by double digits. The $35.9 billion budget he has presented is $1 billion more than last year's budget, and the largest in state history. On the other hand, for the last several years, Republicans have offered proposals that would have balanced the budget with no new taxes. In formulating these Republican budgets, we were confronted with challenges and we overcame them without a taxpayer-funded bailout. Sadly for Maryland, they were not adopted. Warren Deschanel is the head of policy analysis for the Department of Legislative Services. He notes that the governor's $700 million tax plan still leaves a $400 million budget deficit. This shortfall is a testament to the sheer enormity of the governor's spending. You know, it doesn't have to be like this. My Republicans and I are glad to tell you that even at this late hour, there is a reason for hope. You see, we have a vision for Maryland, of the Maryland we would like to see. Our vision for Maryland is of a place people want to live, not where people want to leave. Our vision for Maryland is of a place where people are here because they want to be here, not because they have to be here. Our vision for Maryland is of a place where the citizens control their personal finances, not Annapolis. Our vision for Maryland is of a place where local governments closest to the people make the best decisions, not Annapolis. Where the government does not take property rights away without just compensation. Where the private sector is the best engine for economic recovery and job growth, not the government. Where investments in transportation infrastructure actually pay off and relieve traffic for Maryland travelers and do not become long-term burdens. Where citizens and their children and grandchildren have the ability to pursue economic rewards through jobs whether they live in a rural, suburban, or urban area. Where inexpensive energy produced by Marylanders here in Maryland powers the state, not inefficient, expensive renewable schemes. Where the best way to clean up the Chesapeake Bay is for the surrounding states doing their share and not leaving Maryland citizens alone with the cleanup. Where the path to the state's long-term environmental health is by using the best science and economics rather than an expensive Annapolis-based approach. The odds of that Maryland ever becoming a reality grow longer with each tax, fee, and toll heaped upon the citizens of Maryland. Nonetheless, my Republican colleagues and I still have hope that through hard work and a change in vision, our vision of Maryland, which is shared by millions in our state, will become a reality. Thank you.